prophets, some evangelists, some pastors and teachers, for the perfecting, that's readjustment of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Christ, till we all come in the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ, that we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine by the sleight of men and cunning craftiness, whereby they lay in wait to deceive. Do you know there's people around you that lay in wait? The only reason they want to deceive you is because they want to justify their wrong lifestyle. Their cunning craftiness is lying in wait to justify themselves and what they do and cover their sin, and they will lie there waiting to deceive. Boy, that's terrible, isn't it? I think there's some cunning people who are trying to deceive you, alienate you from the life of God, and build their own little party and faction, defending their sin with a cloak of maliciousness. But you'll always find it. They're there. That's what they do. That's their gift. God says their mouths have got to be shut. Rebuke them sharply. Boy, you know, terrible that someone would want to destroy someone else. So, well, how can that be? Well, Paul, and this is a church, this is a New Testament church that comes behind in no gift, and Paul commends them and tells them what wonderful things have happened, and then he says, hey, but you know, right in the middle of you, there's people craftily waiting to deceive you. And they think they're of God. My. But speaking the truth in love may grow up into him in all things, which is the head, even Christ, from whom the whole body fitly joined together and compacted by that which every joint supplieth, according to the effectual working in the measure of every part, maketh increase of the body unto the edifying of itself in love. This I say therefore, and testify in the Lord, that you henceforth walk not as other Gentiles walk, in what? The vanity of their mind, having the understanding darkened, being alienated from the life of God through the ignorance that is in them, because of the blindness of their heart, who being past feeling, have given themselves over unto lasciviousness, to work all uncleanness with greediness. But you have not so learned of Christ. Is that plain? Is that plain? Hello, is that plain? In other words, people are living a wrong lifestyle, and he spells it all out. Past feeling, given themselves over unto lasciviousness, to work all uncleanness with greediness. You haven't so learned of Christ. If so be you've heard of him and have been taught by him, as the truth is in Jesus, that you put off concerning the former conversation the old man which is corrupt, according to the deceitful lust, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind. That's the attitude of your mind. It's all to do with the mind, isn't it? Hello? As you think. You know, there's a deceitfulness. There's something so deceitful in the mind. You think you're right when you're doing wrong. You think you're smart and clever when you're destroying yourself. It's all in the mind. That's where it operates. That's why I believe in education so much. I'll tell you why. I believe we should bring up our children in the fear and admonition of God. Education's very important. Living by biblical principles is important. Life is important. Now, there's some people blind in their minds, blind in their hearts. Parents have done damage to their own children by their stupidity. If you oppose God and alienate yourself from God and the life of God, go against God's principles and reckon yourself, okay, you're in trouble. God's not your enemy, you are your enemy. Is that plain? Hello, is that plain? You understand what I'm saying? It's not complicated, it's not rocket science. It's in the book. Okay? Having understanding darkened. Do you know there's some people that appear intelligent, but when you listen to them, they don't know the difference between truth and lies. They don't know the difference with their spirit and God's spirit. They think they know God. But what's produced in them is evil. And they're so smart. Alienated from the life of God. Enemy of God. And they cover it all up with a nice front. Well, you've only got to spend 5 minutes in their presence and listen to what's coming out of their mouth, and you know how they think. Because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So you just listen. I'm not for just listening to people, I'm for telling them. I'm not a social worker. You tell them the truth. Is that plain? The only person who is an enemy is you are an enemy of yourself. Let's look on. You know, where have I got to? Ephesians 4. Alienated, past feeling, given themselves over unto lasciviousness, to work all uncleanness with greediness. You haven't so learned of Christ. Well, isn't that plain? That's not the way God intends you to live. There's a land of good things. I will press in and they'll be mine. But not if the Lord's prepared it and I'm saying, no, I'd rather be your enemy and fight you. I'd rather reject grace and live for myself. I'd rather be selfish. What a terrible thing. Colossians